Peace and Yah bless. Yah is a strong one. The strong one is Yah. He's the tree of life. He's the fountain of living waters. He's the spirit and creator of all things that live and breathe. On this particular discourse, I'm going to talk about the future is Asian. I'm going to talk a little bit about what they call the New World Order. Okay? Even though the New World Order is actually the Old World Order repackaged. Okay? But they call it the New World Order. People have this big fear of, you know what I mean? So the future is Asian. What is meant by this book, or this title of this book? Okay, you have to read into this correctly or you're going to get the meaning of it wrong. Okay, it doesn't mean it's a future where only those countries are ruling. Okay, first of all, you have to get some understanding and know where Asia is. Okay, so you have to look at this map and let this map tell you where Asia is and how much land it actually, encompasses, right? Okay? It's a lot of landmass right there that they call the Asiatic continent or the continent of Asia. Okay? So that's why the book is called The Future is Asian. It's not talking about Asian people by itself, even though they will have a great deal to do with the future. Okay? Because most of the economic boom is coming from the East, the Far East. Okay, it's not coming from the West, as it has in previous years. Okay, it's coming from the East now. I'm talking about a lot of those countries, not just China. Many of those Asiatic countries coming from over there. All this great GDP and different economic models. Okay? All right? So the future is Asian. And guess what? Israel, what they call the state of Israel, is a part of that Asian continent. Even though some say that, Israel sits on the same tectonic plates with Africa and all that. I mean, possibly it does, but it's not what they consider being a part of the African continent. You know what I mean? All right, at least not in these modern days and times. What happened in the past? Well, that's what happened. Okay, so now you can see a little more clear. See, the future is Asian. Looking at all the Middle East countries, all the Asiatic countries that that they call Asian, right? China and Japan and Indonesia, Vietnam, and on and on and on. All these countries right here, okay? That they think of the people who call themselves Asian as only Asia. Asia has to deal with this whole entire landmass, including the Middle East. That's also Asia. So all these people can be thought of as being Asian, okay? Not just the people, in this region right here. You know what I mean? Of what they call the Asian countries, okay? I'm talking about your traditional countries, China, Japan, Singapore, on and on and on and on. Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, North and South Korea, right? So not just those traditional countries, okay? Asia encompasses this whole entire continent right here. It's known as the Asian continent. Then you have Europe, then you have Africa, then you go west, right? United States, Canada, Brazil, etc., etc. Okay? Not Australia. It's not a part of it, okay? Just what you see right here in the green right here, all right? But there's a lot of economic boom coming from this side of the world, okay? China being the leader of that, okay? The leader of technology and many other things, including their, Belt and Road Initiative that they've launched, okay? To try to interconnect, better with Europe and Africa, okay? And I think in some ways, some of these things that are happening over in China, people are doing to try to stop that. But, we know that whatever the will of God is, that's what's going to happen. So, I don't think there is anything that can stop China at this particular point, at going to the number one spot based on gross domestic product by 2030. And I'm quite possibly sure way earlier than that. I'm thinking probably by 2025, their economy could very well be the number one economy. Probably India in the number two spot. United States probably somewhere at number 3. Okay? I would say by 2023, 2025, somewhere in that area. But this is the whole entire Asiatic continent, okay? So when you guys see this, don't let the title fool you. He's actually showing you that right here, okay? So many of these countries, all right? Because everything is traveling back to the east, where basically life and the beginning of civilization began right here on this continent that they call Africa, that we suppose was called Eden at one point. We're not sure where Eden was, okay? But maybe it was on the African continent. We don't know, all right? But the future is Asian, okay? And some will probably call it the New World Order, you know what I mean? And I guess in some ways it could be sort of a New World Order. Now, let's talk about the New World Order. The New World Order is really Yah's world order, okay? As we get closer to the future and close to us making our Aliyah back home, okay? Because Yah's going to return us back to the top of the world, the leader of the nations, as we once were. That's why the future is Asian, okay? Because Israel is a part of that, okay? Let's get a better look at it. All right? Israel is a part of that. All these nations, all right? So your economic boom is happening really right here in India and in China, and a lot of these countries right over here, like Indonesia and Malaysia and Singapore, and Vietnam, okay? Thailand, okay? Naturally, Russia, on and on and on. Naturally, always the Middle East, okay? So the Middle East is going to become back, the leader of the world, especially dealing with the United Kingdom of Israel soon to come. All right? A brand new nation, right? Right. Soon to come. Now, who is the leader of the New World Order? Naturally, the seed of David. King David is, okay? All right? The leader of the New World Order, okay? And some would say, okay, why do you say that? Well, simple. Let's go to the book and find out, okay? Psalm 72, okay? It's talking about the actual seed of David, when he comes on the scene, right? Okay, son of David. Okay, naturally, you see it's not a woman, it's a guy, right? He, right, shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. You hear that? Unto the ends of the earth. That's going to be the reach of his power. Okay? And the power base is going to be in Israel. Okay? Back in Asia, or what they call Asia today. All right? Along with we'll work with the other nations too, right? But that's going to be the power base. All right? But the seed of David, he has dominion, okay? From sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. Okay? They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. That means, when he comes before different dignitaries, instead of him doing the bowing, they're going to have to bow. Okay? The same that you guys see today. All right, when we go in front of the Queen, or we go before Rothschilds, whatever, we curtsy. If you're a woman, if you're a man, then you bow your head. It just shows reverence and honor, for their positioning. When you go before Her Majesty the Queen, okay, Elizabeth II. All right. Or if you meet, Prince Harry or Prince William, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Or if you meet, Lord Rothschilds, on and on and on and on. The great patron, right, of the lodge. So, you just bow your head, call it a day. Well, the same thing's going to happen to him whenever Yah performs all that he needs to perform to put him at the top of the world as the leader of the New World Order. Okay? The seed of David is the leader of the New World Order, but it's actually Yah's world order, okay? All right? He is the leader of the New World Order. Now let's go to verse number 11, okay? Talk about the kings of the earth, right? Yea, all kings. You hear that? All kings, no matter who it is. All kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him. Okay? So they're going to reverence the seed of David. But all the kings have to bow. Okay? He is the leader of the New World Order that we will call Yah's world order. Okay? Now what shall he do? For he shall deliver the needy when he crieth, the poor also, and him that hath no helper. He shall spare the poor and the needy, and shall save the souls of the needy. Okay? He shall redeem their soul from deceit and violence, and precious shall their blood be in his sight. Okay? And he shall live. Okay? And to him shall be given the gold of Sheba. Prayer also shall be made for him continually. Okay? And daily shall he be praised. Okay? For who he is. All right? Seed of David. All right? So, not like no worship. Okay? We're not talking about like that. Okay? We're not talking about no worship. It's just people show reverence to him because, Yah has anointed him and chosen him because he's from the bloodline David, okay? And have done correctly before Yah's eyes, okay? All right. Now, Psalms 89. Go there in your book, okay? This leader of the New World Order. Psalms 89, verse 3. I have made a covenant with my chosen. See, Yah has to choose him. He can't choose himself. Okay? The top of the triangle doesn't even choose him. Yah chooses him. And Yah puts him before the top of the triangle, right? I have sworn unto David my servant, right? Thy seed will I establish forever and build up thy throne to all generations. Meaning what? When he perishes one day, all of his sons after him, they will succeed him one at a time. For however many sons he has, his sons and their sons will succeed him. So it's going to, go on generation after generation after generation, just like the days of old, okay? Quite simple, all right? So that's why this is so important, what Netanyahu had to say. Very important thing he said. Netanyahu, Israel would not be governed by Jewish law, right? Israel will go back to being run as it was during the days of King David and King Solomon. Netanyahu, perfect. That's all I'm going to say. You're perfect, man. You are exactly right, okay? You said something right, okay? Because what? It is a covenant. Okay, a covenant is a contract that Yah made with David, okay, many moons ago. And he has to fulfill his word unto David by making this happen, okay? So David is the leader of the New World Order, okay? All right, going back to the crown, the monarchy, okay? As I mentioned before, naturally the government will have other working parts, okay? Other than just the monarch, all right? So it's very important to understand that and know that, okay? But yeah, the world is going back east, and many things are going to go back east, okay? Many, 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 many things, all right? Now, it's already headed that way. Okay, dealing with digital currency and the bitcoins and what they call cryptocurrency and all those things. All those things basically, people would probably call parts of maybe a new world order, right? All spooky. Okay, the new world order is not to spook you, man. Okay, it's just how the world is going to end up in the future and how we're going to handle money, things like that. How things are going to be settled. How transactions are going to be settled. Things like that, okay? It's not to scare you guys or anything like that you read so-called in Revelations, right? Some of us of that stuff in there, man, it's folklore, man, okay? Now, when you go to Psalms 45 and you read this last verse. Now, Psalm 45 is actually the wedding of the seed of David. It is his wedding, and it goes through and starts explaining much about it, okay? All right? So, if you look at verse number 7, if you go to 45, please go there in your book, okay? Thou lovest righteousness and hatest wickedness. Therefore, God, thy God, right, have anointed thee with oil of gladness above thy fellows, okay? Now, why is it talking about above thy fellows? Because there's a whole bunch of people thinking they're supposed to, they can be in line for this crown of David when it's an impossibility because it's a contract with the house of David that he made with King David long time ago, many moons ago. Okay? It's a contract. So there's no way to break that contract. So it can't be given to anybody else. Okay? So this right here in verse 7 is talking about how he would be anointed above all these guys. Okay? That many of you know about. So we're not going to get deep into that. Okay? Then it goes into the wedding, you know what I mean? And the queen, right? Okay? Talks about the queen that he marries. Right? Okay? And let's start at verse number 9. King's daughters were among thy honorable women. Upon thy right hand did stand the queen in gold of Ophir. So he marries, okay? He ends up marrying a queen. All right? All right. Now what does he tell his queen? Hearken, O daughter, and consider and incline thine ear. Forget also thine own people and thy father's house. Now that to me indicates it's got to be a woman probably who's foreign. You know what I mean? He's not the same as his own people because he's telling her to forget her own people. He's like, hey, forget your own people, forget your father's house. Don't worry about them. Because if they were, of the same people, he wouldn't have to tell her that, right? He told her to forget her own people and forget her father's house, right? Okay? So shall the king greatly desire thy beauty, okay? For he is thy Lord. Bow to him. That's what worship means. Bow to him, okay? Now, Lord means he's her husband, okay? Because you read in this book, they always call their husband my Lord, right? Okay? That's what that means right there. Her husband. So he asked her, he said, bow to him. You bow before him. But why? Because of who he is. That's why she has to bow. But anyway, on and on and on and on and on. But go read this yourself, okay? Now, if you notice, 15, with gladness and rejoicing, so shall it be brought. They shall enter into the king's palace, okay? Naturally, have a palace out on his lands that we've already showed you guys about, okay? Now, instead of thy fathers shall be thy children, right? The sons, right? The brand new sons that are born, it's going to be them. Whom thou, right, makest princes in all the earth, okay? So he'll make his sons princes after him, okay? And then they'll rule after him, the new world order, okay? Whenever he, whenever Yah decides to, remove him from the earth, right? Okay, verse 17, I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore shall people praise thee forever and ever. So they'll remember all the work that he did and everything he went through for the nation of Israel to get them back home. Okay, because there are a lot of things that he's doing that is contingent upon him to get these people home. Okay, because if not, they would never have won their freedom. Okay? Very important to know these things, these facts. Go look at these things, all right? And naturally, we go to the covenant, right? All right? 2 Chronicles chapter 7. verse 18, which tells everyone who the seed of David is by number. Okay? Now, this is a large print Bible, okay? But you can go to any version of the Bible to 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse number 18. It will tell you the same exact thing. Then I will establish, right, the throne of thy kingdom according as I have covenanted. Keyword, a covenant, right? I have covenanted with David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee to be a man to be ruler in Israel. You hear that right there? A man. Okay, very important to understand that. Not a woman. A man leads the New World Order, not a woman. Only the seed of David can lead that. Okay, nobody else can. And he has to be from the bloodline, and he has to be anointed. As Psalms 45 told you, he's anointed above his fellows. Okay, all these so-called I would call them wannabes. Okay, so David is the leader of the New World Order as we travel back east. Okay, the great economies of the world is not going to be in the West anymore. It's going to be east. Okay, now many people know this already. Okay, so it's time for you guys to do some study, find these things out. Okay, like I said about India, China, Singapore, Thailand, right? Vietnam. Okay, and not only that, the African continent is coming along too. So everything is headed back that way, really where life started. Okay, well, all of life started, right? Back east. We're headed back that direction. Okay, so very, very important to understand and know that. All right, now Zechariah chapter 6, because many people get this misconstrued. Okay, understand that Joshua, the high priest that is talking about right here, and David, they're the same. They're synonymous. They're the same thing. Okay, this Joshua, okay, is talking about the seed of David. All right, now I confirm that with God himself. I'm not coming out of my own heart with that. I asked the Most High, what does it mean? He says, but what it's trying to tell you, especially in chapter 3, when it gives you all of these things about Joshua, what's going to happen to him, right? Okay, when it talks about him, all this is just saying how he would be a high priest very similar to Joshua. That would be his persona. Okay, all right, so go read chapter 3. All right, this is talking about his persona of what his character as a king is supposed to be like. Okay, that's why it tells you to make crowns and set them upon the head of Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest. Okay, all right, crowns. Okay, and speak to him, saying, thus saith Yah of hosts, saying, behold the man whose name is the branch. Now, the branch, naturally, if you read the Bible, especially over there in Isaiah chapter 11, it tells you the branch is the root of Jesse, David, right? So David's son is known as the branch. Okay? He shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple. Okay? That's his primary job, okay? As leader. Okay, to build the temple. Okay, even he shall build the temple of Yah. Okay, temple of the Lord, right? And he shall bear the glory and shall sit and rule upon his throne. And he shall be a priest. Key word, all right? A priest upon his throne, right? And the counsel of peace shall be between them both, between being priest and a king. So he has dual roles, okay? He's got two different crowns he has to deal with, okay? All right, two roles he has to deal with. He has to manage the temple. He has to manage the nation. Okay, that's a pretty heavy undertaking to have to do. All right, and be leader of the world. Okay, leader of this right here, of these things that are going to happen as we travel back east. Okay? Very important things for you guys to get understanding about. Go get your own understanding. Go read. Once again, if you got any questions about me or about who I am, then just ask God, man. Ask him to give you a sign. Ask him. Okay? You don't have to start going, no, no. Just ask God, man. That's all you have to do. He'll tell you. He'll tell you. Okay? If you ask with an earnest heart, he'll tell you. All right? But the future is Asian. Okay? All right? Seed of David will be over all of the world. Psalm 72, right? Okay? Leading in righteousness. Okay? And showing the world who the true God is. And leading people to the true God. Okay? Along with the other many duties that he'll have to do. Okay? Managing the priesthood. Okay? All right? Now he just manages the priesthood. There will be sons of the line of Zadok, right? Of the Levitical faction that will deal with the sacrifices. Now the other priests, they just basically keep the house. Okay? You read that in Ezekiel, chapters 40 through 48. For all those wondering about that. Okay? Will there be a high priest? Well, the seed of David is the high priest. Okay? All right? He's the highest of the priests. Like I said, it doesn't make it perfect or anything like that. He just manages the priesthood, okay? Just the same way a manager manages anything around here. He just manages it, okay? But he doesn't do any work, all right? He doesn't do any work. The actual sons of Zadok, they do the priestly work, okay? And then the regular Levites, they keep the temple. You know, they keep it clean. You know, they keep the doors. Okay, the sacrifices, the people that are brought, they deal with that. Okay? All right, but he is the leader of the New World Order. All right? All right, so let's go to Psalms 110. Tells you all these things, all right? Now listen, verse number 2. Yah shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Now, the question is when is this going to happen right here? Okay, is this after the Exodus or is it a little bit before that he's ruling amongst his enemies, right? Okay, from Zion. Okay, from Israel. Okay, in other words, he'll be there ruling amongst his enemies, okay? Or it could just mean he'll rule over his enemies once he gets there, okay? Verse number 3, Psalms 110, okay? Thy people shall be willing. See, they're going to be willing in the day of thy power. They're going to be willing. Ain't going to be no big fight, you know, with the elite and all that over this thing. They're supposed to be willing to do this, okay? To do what Yah has asked them to do. Isaiah chapter 27, right? That what? The top of the triangle. He shall make peace with Yah. Okay? And Yah said, and he will make peace. He's not asking him. He said, I'm telling you, you will make peace with me. Okay? All right? But anyway, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, right? In the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth. Okay? Meaning what? He's an older guy, but he seems a little young. Okay? All right? That's all that means. He has the dew of his youth. Not somebody young, somebody older who has to do with their youth, okay? Anyway, verse number 4. Yah hath sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest, key word, forever, after the order of Melchizedek, okay? Yah at thy right hand side shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath, okay? He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with dead bodies, okay? He shall wound the heads over many countries, okay? For those, not in alignment, with Yah and understanding his program, okay? All right. So he's not a priest like you see in a church, okay? Because they worship idols. Not nobody like that's ever going to be the seed of David. All lies, man. Okay? But very important to know who the leader of this new world order is. Okay? And what it's all about. The future is Asian. That's exactly right. But not just the Asian people or the people who are known as being Asian. This whole entire continent right here is known as Asia. Okay? All right, as you can see right here. All of this, including the whole entire Middle East, is known as Asia. Okay? Not just China and these nations over here in the Far East. Okay? It's all of these nations. Okay? All right? So the future definitely is Asian. All right? Thank you all for listening. Do your research and study and pray, okay? And the Most High will give you the answers you need. Okay? But David is the leader of the New World Order. Okay? All right. So what Netanyahu said is right. It's going back to the days of King David and King Solomon. Okay? Israel will be run like that. It ain't going to be governed by Jewish law anymore. It ain't going to be governed by the Knesset. Okay? Or the blue and white. Okay? Or the Labor Party. Okay? Psalm 72. His reach will be worldwide. Okay? Leader of the New World Order. Yah's World Order, okay? Thank you all for listening. Peace, and Yah bless.